Nithar Ramachandra from the NR Hour Sports Show. This is episode 898. I'm joined by a really special guest. His name is Bill Dean. He's a mental health coach for student athletes, parents, and he used to be a coach for a head coach and assistant coach. So we'll get to all of that and his story. And he does a great job helping out these kids now and making sure they go into the right direction. And even obviously with the parents. And Bill, I just want to say thank you for joining the show. It's truly an honor. And like I said, your story is really inspiring and a great one. And first of all, how are you and your family doing? And thank you for joining.
We're doing great. We live in Iowa here in the Midwest, so it's beautiful weather out today, and we're in the midst of high school football season. So actually, still I'm the defensive coordinator for our local high school. So it's Thursday, so we'll have walkthrough day, and then everybody gets excited for Friday night football, and this is homecoming week, so nice. We're busy running around doing all the normal homecoming activities. So. And I appreciate you having me on the show. I'm pumped and excited to be here, and I've listened to your other episodes, and you're doing great work on your end. So very honored, humbled, and appreciative of the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I want to start off with your childhood growing up. And when did you get interested in sports? And did you play any sports growing up? And who was your role model?
Yeah, I grew up in Iowa town, Waterloo, Iowa, and raised, single parent family. So my babysitter was sports, and it didn't matter the season. It was a different sport, whether it was football, basketball, or wrestling, or powerlifting in the winter, baseball, tennis in the spring and summer. So I was always involved in something from a very early age. I was fortunate enough to have a great group of friends, part of what we reference now as my teammates, my peer team. And we just ran around and, did what you did back in the 80s, right? You always had a bat, ball, football, basketball, something. And that's how you occupied your time. And you knew you had to be home by 9 o'clock. So you showed up. So yeah, I was very fortunate. In that aspect, the people, idolized or kind of looked to growing up, a lot of the guys that were at our high school, the guys that were playing on their lights on Friday night, or the guys that were out on the court, they were in the weight room. For me, a little different than it is now, right? We didn't have social media. Right. That was even before Nintendo and stuff. So I can't remember the last, I remember getting cable TV, and that was like amazing back in like 84, 85. So, you followed your state team. So we followed Iowa and Iowa State. But really for me, it was the guys in the hallways, you saw in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And they were the ones like, that's who I want to be like. I want to be that quarterback or that lineman. I want to get big and lift and do those things. So that's really, who I look to as, kind of motivation and as, I guess you'd say, role models at that time.
Well, so obviously back in the day, there was no video. I feel like there's 3 generations with kids here, because when you were growing up, obviously you guys didn't have video games, but now in the middle generation, you've got people playing video games, the kids playing video games. But now I see kids not playing video games, but focusing on their goals, which is whatever, playing sports, whatever they want to do. What's it like seeing kids now from just focusing on their goals, not playing video games, just worrying about it, just going outside, playing sports with their friends, or focusing on that one thing now in this generation?
Mm-hmm. I don't. It's all relative, to, I have 3 amazing kids of my own, 2 in college, one's a senior in high school. And, the older 2, they spent time on the video games. Now, the good thing was I knew where they were at, every Friday night. And being a smaller town, I knew where all of our football team was usually, because they were also on Xbox or PlayStation. But, I think that's their outlet, for us. In a different generation, it was going to the park and having pickup games, or, going to the ball field and having home run derby. So it was all relative. I think for me, with the parents and stuff, that's one of our our points of emphasis with Can't Out Ski Mental Health and our mental health safe environment playbooks is it's not that they shouldn't do it. It's how well are we monitoring it? Is it something that's ever consuming? Someone could have accused me of, and rightfully so, of playing sports too much. And I wasn't really invested in algebra or geometry or English and history. So that consumed my time, and it probably wasn't healthy. So I think it's different. It's that balancing of it. But I think, the worst thing for me is with video games nowadays is I'm no good at them. Like if I want to win a video game, I got to get out the old Nintendo, right? And pull out the old Tecmo Bowl because I know all the right players. You can't tackle Bo Jackson and the Chicago Bears have a certain play you can't stop. So for me, the video games is more of I'm just inadequate at it nowadays. No, I think it is different generation by generation, kind of with phones now, right? Everything's got an app. There's all that screen time on your phone and doing those things. And it's making sure as, parents, whether it's coaches, even people within your own peer team, making sure we're just monitoring it accordingly and it doesn't become unhealthy.
So now I want to ask you about playing multiple sports, and obviously it's really important. Obviously, this being a coach, and coaches love to play players on multiple sports, or they want to see kids now that play multiple sports, and because they like to play players in multiple positions, like offense, defense. So how important is it for kids to learn different aspects of different sports before they choose on one sport, and then because it's all about versatility now in sports.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's a hot topic. I would say, from a simplicity perspective, if you're not in multiple sports, then you have voids in your athletic arena where you're just not competing, right? And yes, you can still practice and you can go lift, but like anything, when I go running, when I run by myself, I'm always really fast, right? Because I'm by myself. If I get anyone that could generally move at a brisker pace than me, I'm not so fast. And so when we specialize, I think you just lose that sense of competition, which is very healthy. And then the other aspect, depending on the size of your school and whether you play 2, 3, or 4 sports, it's that building of the camaraderie, that peer relationship development, the trust and confidence in your teammates and increasing those relationships. So, I know specializing is a hot topic. We're fortunate at our high school here. Most of our students play at least 2. Most of them are playing 3, and we still have a good chunk of 4-sport athletes. So, our kids are going from one to another, and I can give, my middle son plays college football, and on one of the recruiting trips, one of the things, he wasn't a 4-star, 5-star, 3-star, or 2-star, right? He was a good high school football player. But one of the things that really opened doors for him with coaches was the fact that they could look at stats in multiple sports. They could see the accomplishments that he had in those sports, so that's good. But then they also knew there was that commitment to a team, 12 months out of the year. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a big aspect nowadays for colleges and in the recruiting process as well is, how committed are you to the process, so to speak, and how good of a teammate are you? And if you're playing multiple sports, there's a good chance you're a pretty good teammate.
So what college does your son go to?
He plays at Morningside University in Sioux City, Iowa. It's a NAI school.
Oh, okay. So I want to ask you, obviously, this is a 2-part question. Tell our fans about your college experience. What did you learn in college, and when was the first time that you got into mental health coaching?
Mm-hmm. I played football and baseball at St. Ambrose University, a small NAI school in Eastern Iowa. I chose football just because I realized my freshman year, right? Like you got to go to class and you got to be present and you got to get good grades to be eligible and keep up with your credit. So after my freshman year, I just played football and had an amazing time. Played a ton of snaps. Started at the end of my freshman year and through my sophomore, junior, and senior year. We were part of a rebuild in that program. But I was exposed to some amazing coaches. Our head coach was Mike Woodley. We had assistant coaches, Todd Sturdy, Courtney Messingham, who are all now coaching at the Division I level in college football. So we had great coaches around us, and most importantly, just great, mentors, high integrity people. Not to say we didn't make mistakes like most young people do in colleges, but we had great adults who, kind of threw the net around us, reeled us in. And that really is, I would say for me, what, kind of was the springboard into my profession and career. You and I were talking before we started. I was a criminal justice major and thought I wanted to be in law enforcement. But then got into the, health and human service, behavioral health, mental health world, and juvenile justice, and really just fell in love with the relationship development, working with youth and their families on the back end after they had gotten into trouble, or, they were dealing and struggling with various diagnoses. So I was fortunate to be with the company for 20 plus years. Worked at multiple levels in the behavioral health, clinical, operational aspects. And then about, a year ago, I stepped away from that line of work and we started COSMA, Can't-Out Scheme Mental Health. And we began to work with our clients, which are student athletes and their parents or their family team, mom, dad, aunt, uncle, grandma, grandpa, foster family, whatever is your foundation and makeup of your parent team, family team. We work with them, and really we work in one specific scope. We develop our mental health safe environment playbooks. Some of our student athletes have formal diagnosis, and they're on medication and they have real specific issues that they're working with their therapists and other professionals. Where we come in is really, we focus on the dynamics of the other, 24 hours a day, 6 days a week, that you're not specifically working with your therapist or licensed professional. And we look at the dynamics of the family. How do we identify problems at an early onset? How do we, calmly and appropriately react to those issues or those warning signs, red flags as they pop up? And then we blend in coaches' teams and their peer teams. So for us, our student athletes really have three specific teams that we focus on: the family team, the coaches' team, and their peer team, their teammates. And we help them deal with their mental health challenges and struggles in those areas, which then allow them to, continue that success on the field, court, wrestling mat, whatever their sport is, but also allows them to support all of our student athletes really have that dream of playing at the next level, whether that's junior college, whether that's small college or big college, a large university, D1, D2 level. We support them and help them getting there. And then with the forever maintenance playbooks that we develop, that's their toolbox going forward. So they'll have that forever. And it's something that they can utilize with their teams to promote that ongoing success.
Wow, that's amazing. So before we go further with that, I just want to ask, just curious, after your college career, did you ever think maybe you could have tried out for an NFL team, or did you go through the combine process? Or
No, funny story. I was very fortunate to learn honesty and direct feedback at an early age. I had a high school basketball coach that pulled me aside, I think, after like the second practice. And he said, "Bill, we do offer wrestling and powerlifting." And that was an amazing way for him to tell me I wasn't very good at basketball, but he gave me those options, right? So I learned early on, you've got to know what you don't know, and you also have to accept what you do have. And so after our last college football game, I knew, other than coaching, there was going to be no potential dreams or aspirations for a, 6 foot, 250-pound rush backer out of an NAI high school. Although I could long snap and was pretty good at that, but no, I didn't. Not only did I not have those aspirations, I knew that it was time for me to move on with real life. So.
So now to this, because mental health is an issue now with athletes. Some you see with Kevin Love. If you can go NBA, Kevin Love is dealing with that too. So what would you guys? What do you guys? What's it like just helping out these athletes now? Just to what would you tell them how to focus on a court or wherever field court? Because while dealing with like personal issues, what would you tell them? How would you deal with that?
Yeah, and that's the challenge, the balance with our student athletes and their families that we work with. I think for us, and there's some amazing stories, right, and great leadership from athletes at the professional level and Division I college level coming out with their mental health issues. And I think that's been a great springboard to open the doors for who we really work with, and that are our high school student athletes. Because when you're a Division I, high profile athlete, right, whatever level in college or at the pro level, it's a little more acceptable. I don't want to say easy, because anytime you're exposing something from within that's unknown to others, that's never easy. But it's a little more acceptable. And for our focus, our biggest challenge right now with our high school student athletes is talk about it. Like it can't be hidden. It's not something that you should be ashamed of. And we tell our student athletes, and I would say out loud to everyone listening, a mental health injury is no different than a sprained ankle or a knee injury. The difference is, as society, if you get hurt in the course of practice or game, right? Blow out a knee, roll an ankle, break a collarbone, whatever the example, that's kind of like a badge of honor, right? Like you're doing something you love, you're playing hard, and you got injured. And we're going to work with you, and we are going to support your rehab and all that type of stuff to what? Get you back at that competitive level. It's kind of the flip with mental health injuries, and they're real, and they're really no different. We don't, respond to those or react to those in the way. And I'm a high school football coach, right? Like our best player or one of our starters goes down. We want to know, how long are they out? Where are they at? Okay, let's set up their secondary return to play plan. As coaches, we struggle too with mental health issues. If somebody's dealing with anxiety, depression, it might be a substance abuse issue. It could be some significant dysfunction within the family setting. It doesn't even have to be a diagnosed issue. It might be a young student athlete whose parents are going through a divorce, who has a parent or family member who's dealing with their own addiction or substance abuse issues. And we tend not to respond to those mental health challenges or struggles in the same way we do with the physical injury. And so for us, our mission here at Can't Out Ski Mental Health with Cosma is to help level that playing field. Those challenges and injuries should be no different, and we should respond to them no differently than we do a sprained ankle or a torn ACL. And there are some amazing people out there that are jumping on this bandwagon and getting on this train because it's moving forward, that are understanding that. But we can't quiet down about it, right? And so that's what I would tell, what we do tell, what I do work with our student athletes is, find the nearest mountain, the nearest hill, whatever it is, and don't be afraid to yell it out loud. Yeah, I'm dealing with anxiety. I'm dealing with depression, and I'm working through it just like Bobby or Susie over there, just like they're dealing with their torn ACL rehab. And together we can get through it, and it's going to allow me to perform on the court and field just as well as they will when they return from their physical injury.
So obviously one person will not help overnight, but it takes a whole team. So how big of an impact has your team made for these student athletes and their parents in the over years with your company?
Yeah, I think where we're a little different, right? Like, so we're not, and I'm not saying this, demeaning at all. We're not a mental health skills couch therapy group.
Yeah.
Okay, so we focus on the dynamics of your team. So around our 6 points of emphasis, the dynamics within your family team, within your coaches team, the coaches that you interact with in all your sports, could also be a personal trainer, might be a weightlifting coach, you name it. And then your peer, your teammate team. And we just help our student athletes understand the dynamics, reading the unspoken at times, helping them see in others if they're struggling with an issue, and how do we engage with, your family members or your coaches or your other teammates, because they might be, through their nonverbals, through their unspoken communication, that might be their way of saying, I need help with something. And just like for our student athletes, getting them to recognize when their unspoken communication changes, that's kind of their way of, telling someone, I need some help here. Mm-hmm. And help might just be a coach walking with a student athlete after practice. How's it going? Don't worry about install day, or don't worry about how we're lining up and getting ready to respond to a certain play. It might just be, hey, how are things going at home? How are your grades? So we really focus on the 6 key dynamics within those teams to support our student athletes. It helps them individually as part of their individualized assessment playbook plan, recognize where they're at, better understand where they're at. But then it also, in turn, right, paying it forward for the rest of our lives, it will help them better recognize in their teams when others may need help, or they can apply this to help others.
So you guys have a hashtag. It's called Keep Practicing, and I love that hashtag. What does that mean to you guys?
Yeah, you're always practicing, right? And you can't take a day off. Obviously, we have our off days, but for us, it's just we're always practicing, right? Our 6 points of emphasis, because our kids, our student athletes that we work with, they're always around their teams. They're always around their family. They're always around their coaches, and they're always around their friends or teammates in the sport that they play. So they don't get to just apply this and then come home and sit on the couch in an isolated bubble, as is the case for most individuals that are struggling with mental health diagnoses or challenges. Our lives are lived in groups, and we have to understand how to function in those groups. So as we go through our 8-week curriculum with our families and their student athletes, that's kind of where our hashtag came from. We're always practicing it, right? I can go to McDonald's and I can read the process of what's going on around me with people I don't even know. I can tell how they interact, how they communicate. I can look at the unspoken. We do it all the time. You guys probably do it. What's better than mall watching, right? Like, you get to watch people interact during Christmas time, like when we go to the mall. So for us, that's where Keep Practicing comes from. We're always practicing it. And like anything, if you keep practicing it, if it's your focus, your point of emphasis, you will get better at it every day. So that's where our hashtag comes from.
So this is another 2-part question. And tell us about your first opportunity that you got to coach the team, and obviously how grateful are you to be now a defensive coordinator for a high school team. And the next part to this, how do you balance it out, especially during the season, when the season starts, with your company, the mental health company, and while coaching at the same time?
Mm-hmm. Well, I first started coaching it was the fall after my last year of college. I was still looking for a job, and I started coaching at Davenport Central, just as a goofball out of college, right? Like, they told me I was going to be the line coach, and that meant I carried all the dummies out to practice and I put them all away at the end. And I was allowed to interact with kids on some things. So, that's how you learn. And then I had different opportunities from there as I got into my other line of work in the health and human service field and industry. So I've always enjoyed coaching. I've always felt that that's been a strength, is just my ability to interact, not just with student athletes, but, great camaraderie with your coaching staff, and appropriate, healthy, positive interactions with the community and the parents of our student athletes. And being the defensive coordinator here at our high school, it's awesome. I was in the situation early on. I was able to coach my kids, which I thought was great. But then just realized, even after my my boys were done with football, that, I wanted to keep doing it. I love football. I love the scheming and the X's and O's. That's part of it. That's fun. I just like from the first day of install at camp, when most of your new players are like baby horses or baby giraffes, right? They're wobbling around out there, to week 1 to the last week of the season. You see that growth. And then, of course, you have the anticipation for the next season. That's awesome. So I'm appreciative of that every day. I work with some amazing coaches who they teach me way more than, I'm able to teach them. And then together with our kids, we, like anything, you're a team. You got your game plan and you kick off when the whistle blows on Friday night, and you hope for the best outcome, and you learn from losing and you enjoy winning, and then you get right back to it. The balancing of it, the thing that's cool nowadays is they got huddles, so you can do film breakout pretty easy. And you can get down into the weeds, obviously, with your statistical data analysis. So that makes film review, shortens that amount of time quite a bit. And then, of course, as just a staff, everybody's involved in game planning and review of the previous, week's game and understanding the opponents. So, teamwork, like anything, helps you get through that. And then the ability to just balance with our client schedules and some of the organizations that I work with. I'm blessed to have that flexibility to still be able to coach at the high school level. So.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So obviously last year, all of us went through a struggle with the pandemic. And what have you guys learned as a team from the past year to now? And obviously now this season, you guys are going to have fans back in the stadiums. And so what's that going to be like?
Yeah, so we're actually going into week 3 here. So it's been fun having the fans back. We were fortunate in Iowa. Strong leadership at even at the governor's office, and so we never experienced that long drawn out absence of high school sports. We had some pockets of it, a lot of protocols to follow, but like anything, right? Rap music, parachute pants, you name it. It takes a while to get to the Midwest. So by the time it really got to the Midwest, people were starting to get back to kind of normal life. And so, we were able to deal with it, obviously get creative scheduling in the weight room, a lot more cleaning, a lot more sanitizing stuff. If you didn't feel good, you stayed home. So, dealing with those disruptions. But I would say we were very fortunate in Iowa through the heart of the pandemic. This year it's been great. Like I said, having the fans and family, everybody back in. Concession stands open, right? Smelling the grill cooking, the popcorn popping. Those are things you really do. You kind of take for granted. It's like, wow, it smells amazing here again. Because why is that? Oh yeah, the concession stands are open. So we got through that, and I think we'll continue to get through it. We have vaccinations. Our coaching staff received. Our players are a part of it, and we have our protocols in place through our Iowa High School Athletic Association, as well as our CDC governance and oversight. So, knock on wood, right? I think we're positioned pretty well, and we'll continue teeing it up and kicking it off every Friday night.
No, Mustangs are a great name for a football team.
Yeah, well, that's actually my son's college team. We're the Tigers. So.
Yeah, so I want to ask you though, have you dealt with any instances where your own players or the players you coach now on the team, have they dealt with any like personal issues throughout their careers or?
Oh yeah. We have young men, young women in our school that are, they go through their own struggles and challenges. So as far as, the student athletes we work with, I'm working with individuals from the East Coast, Baltimore City, all the way to the West Coast, Sacramento area. And we've got about 4 or 5 other states in between. But yes, we have individuals that we do work with. And it's really, again, I kind of go back to the physical injury, right? It's not a big deal. It's a big deal for those individuals, and it's a priority and focus that we always want to work on and be better at. But, it's not something we have to hide behind. I love what Brandon Marshall, what he did with bipolar disorder, with, the green lights and the color green. And, he just kind of stood up on a mountaintop and yelled it and shine the lights on it, because that's really how we have to approach it. You never minimize it by saying it's not a big deal, but it definitely is nothing that should ever define you or you should ever be ashamed of. So yes, we do work with individuals on our own team, and have amazing outcomes and results with those individuals as well.
So what advice would you give to young kids right now and that are trying to reach to their goals, and even their parents? So what advice would you give them now?
The advice to give them, right? I think, for me, it's keep practicing, right? Like, keep practicing what you're doing. And if you need help, ask the right people so that what you're practicing is helping you get on the right path. Stay off social media. Don't hit send, as Herm Edwards would say, right? Yeah. Don't hit send when it has to do with not being nice to others. It takes no effort to be a good person and to be nice, but keep practicing the things that from a mental health perspective, whether you're formally diagnosed or you have just challenges. Keep practicing, ask for help from the right people, and trust your family. Trust the coaches that surround you. They're amazing people. They'll help you, not just with being a better athlete, but being a better person. And then support your friends, be collective, be a group, and, keep practicing those things that are important to you. That would be the biggest piece of advice, right? Without getting too cliche or, reciting too many quotes from others. I just keep practicing, right? Every day, wake up, keep practicing, work hard.
So now we do this fun little segment on the show. It's called the rapid fire segment. You ready for this?
I am. I've been looking forward to it.
Yeah. So first one here. What is the scouting report on your kids as players?
We have huge hearts. We're getting better every day in practice. We're quicker than fast, but we will find you and we'll hit you. So that's our scouting report.
And also on your own kids, your sons.
My son, he's gotten over his injuries. He loves football, and he's working his tail off every day to figure out, how to be better each day. So,
favorite food?
My favorite food?
Yeah.
Anything smoked, brisket, pulled pork, ribs, you name it.
Nice. So who are some of the defensive coordinators that you like to watch now, either in college or the NFL?
I love John Haycock, defensive coordinator at Iowa State. I'm an Iowa State fan, live in Iowa. I love the creativity. The kind of breaking out from a defensive perspective, as long as you're sound. I love watching Coach Venables from Clemson. I actually like watching his get back coach, yank him to the sideline. That's awesome. So those are the two that I really look at. And then the defensive coaching mind that I pick their brain if I have questions is head coach Joe Woodley at Grandview University. So,
how exciting is it to have college football back now? And obviously NFL is back tonight. I'm a Cowboy fan, so we're playing Tampa tonight. I can't wait. So how exciting though to have high school, college, and NFL back at the same time now after a year?
Yeah, it's America, right? Like that's, I think that's everybody in the world or in the United States of America is a little bit happier today, right? And whether or not you like the Cowboys or Buccaneers, you're going to watch the kickoff.
Yeah.
Here in Iowa, we got College Game Day coming to Ames this weekend for the Iowa State game. So everybody's, the rivalries there, the jabs and the ribbing are started. So I think just in general, everything with football. I'm a Seattle Seahawks fan, so I'm ready for us to kick off on Sundays and hopefully have a good season. So I just think it's great. And it's awesome, and we look forward to it. So I'll definitely be watching tonight, and I hope your Cowboys do okay. I did not draft any of them in my fantasy league last night, but I do have a couple Buccaneers. So
Oh, wow. Oh, so speaking of Seattle, now we have Dan Quinn on Dallas. Do you like Dan Quinn as a defensive coordinator?
I love him. He was great. But I mean, let's be honest, right? Like, great players make great coaches, and Dan Quinn was awesome. Seattle had the Legion of Boom, and we had some amazing defensive lineups for that run there. So hopefully we can get back to that. But yeah, from what not that I interact with NFL coaches, that much or ever, but I thought he was an awesome coach, and I hope he does well. It's good to see him land on his feet after leaving Atlanta, and good luck to him.
Yeah. So for you, when it comes to practices during the games, are you like a yeller or laid back type of coach?
I'm pretty. So you're asking me, right? So like, if you have any of my players on, they might put me on blast after this. I would say in general, I'm pretty even keeled. I have no problem getting loud, being direct. But it's usually more around alignment, physical things that happen. You just get beat, because that's kind of the thing about football, right? At the end of every day, at some point, you just got to beat the guy across from you. Yeah. You can slant them, you can blitz them, you can do this, you can do that. But at the end of the day, you got to beat the other human being, the other football player across from you, and you have a good play either side of the ball. So I would say overall, I'm pretty even keeled, pretty calm. I'm not a huge screamer and yeller, but, I'm sure people got plenty of video or clips somewhere from practice and games where I've definitely raised my voice a little, right? So.
Have you been in, what's your most funniest moment you've been in your career? Funniest moment and best moment?
Let's see, best moment. So my senior year in college, St. Ambrose University, we were playing Western Illinois, who had Rodney Harrison on the team, and they were loaded. They had beat UNI, and they were, that was back then, so they were Division I AA. They won the Gateway Conference that year, and little old us from Quad Cities, Iowa, went to Macomb, Illinois, and we beat them. And in that game, I had a pick six.
Oh, wow.
And that was the first touchdown I'd ever scored through high school, junior high. I think I might have scored in flag football, right? When I was like third or fourth grade. Oh, I got you?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Kind of froze up there for a second.
Oh, can you hear me?
Are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Oh, now I can hear you.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So I'm not sure. Did you get that?
No, I don't think I got it. Yeah.
Okay. So my best moment ever was last game of the year in college. We were playing Western Illinois. They were loaded, good team, and we went up there and we beat them. And I had a pick six that game on a tunnel screen, and it was awesome. So that was my best moment, my highlight as a player. I still have the VHS tape, right? I just need to get a updated, brand new VHS player because they don't sell those anymore. But my best moment as a coach at Woodward Academy, I was the head football coach, and that's a residential treatment program. And we started football, and our first football game, we went out and we won 63-7. And to see those young men who were from all over the country, black, white, brown, fast, athletic, to slow and non-athletic, to see them for the first time be a part of a team and do something together and be victorious, and then walk off the field with their chins high and people around them telling them good job and supporting them, that has to be my best moment ever as a coach, because I knew what we were doing at that time, combining physical activity, high school sports, in this case, football, with a clear focus on mental health and treatment support and rehabilitation, I knew it was working and we were doing the right thing. So that was my best moment ever as a coach.
Oh, wow. What's your guys' hype music?
Hype music? Well, for me, it's anything off Ride the Lightning from Metallica. For our kids, I couldn't tell you who sings it, but it's definitely not Metallica. There's the Purge entrance song nowadays. There's Juicy Wiggle. There's all kinds of things. I don't know who sings them, but I'll find myself dancing every now and then. They're pretty catchy tunes. So
are you guys going to be going to College Game Day this weekend?
We are. We will be loading the pickup truck tomorrow night, and we will be heading to Ames, Iowa, so we can pull into the tailgating lots at 6 a.m. So it'll be an amazing day.
Make sure you go meet my guy Desmond Howard, Kirk Herbstreit, Lou Holtz, and everyone, the whole crew.
Yeah. Now, so if I put on a sign, Nathan sent me, will they let me up? Will they let me inside the gates?
Hopefully.
We'll see. I'm gonna try and I'll get back to you, see if it works.
You should have a sign. You should do a sign.
I am. I'm gonna say Nathan sent me. We'll see if they catch it.
Yeah. So before we get to the last two things, where can people find you in the work? If they want to make a meeting or call you, where can people find you?
Yeah, that's appreciate that opportunity. So on Twitter, I'm at Coach Cosma. You can follow us on Twitter. On LinkedIn, you can search Bill Dean and you'll get to that. Our website is being finalized, but if you go to can'toutschemementalhealth.com, I do have a little history page about myself, and there is a direct link there. You can enter your information and your phone number and your email. That'll come right to me, and I'll reach out to you. And we can set up our initial energy call or our initial communication call. And then you can also email us at can'toutschemementalhealth@gmail.com. So those are the main platforms. You can always direct message me through LinkedIn. That's great. I get about 2 or 3 a day from that platform from our audience. And then from there, I'll send you our Acuity scheduling link, and we'll get you on the calendar, and we'll get moving forward to best address and meet the individualized needs that your student athlete and your family team is looking for at that point in time.
All right. Well, before we get to the last few things, what's your score prediction for tonight?
Oh, well, let's see. I'm going to say I'm going to go a little bit different. I think Dak's going to be fine. I think it's going to be high scoring. I think, unfortunately, you guys are playing the GOAT, right? So he's going to get the ball at the end. So I'm going to say 34-30 Bucks score at the end.
Wow. Interesting. I can't wait.
I think it's going to be a good game.
Yeah. So the last two things here, our team is part of this foundation. It's called the Hugh Jackson Foundation. He's a former NFL coach. He's now the offensive coordinator at Tennessee State with Eddie George. And we're trying to help him prevent human trafficking, making sure the community stays safe, the kids stay safe. And it's still horrible.
Great cause. Great cause, too, by the way.
Yeah. So I'll send you the foundation so you can go check it out.
You bet. I appreciate it.
Yep. And the last thing here, would you like to say anything to all the nurses, doctors, and all the essential workers right now?
Yeah, I would just say, God bless you. Thank you for all you do. Every day you're pulling up the bootstraps and you're doing work that, just like our first responders, many people, tend to shy away from doing. So, thoughts and prayers are always with our essential workers, and, may you stay safe and have good blessings during this time. We appreciate you every day.
Yeah, well said. And there it is. That wraps up episode 898 with Bill Dean. He's a mental health coach for student athletes and parents, and he's also a defensive coordinator in high school, Iowa. Thank you again for coming on the show, Bill. It was truly an honor. We learned a lot today. Keep up the great work. We would like to have you back on the show at some point so you can meet the full team. But good luck the rest of the way of the season with the high school team, and have fun at college game day. I always love that show. I watch it every morning. So if I see you guys on TV, I'll reach out to you. So,
but shoot me a text. I'm gonna make that sign now. So shoot me a text if you see it. If we get on. So.
All right. But thank you again, and stay safe.
You bet. Thanks for all the work you do, and look forward to hearing your episodes down the road as well. So have a great rest of the week.
Yeah, you too.
Hashtag keep practicing, right?
Yeah, keep practicing.